Hi friends, thanks for joining me. Today we will learn about DDoS attack and how we can secure our application from such attack. So let's begin. So what is a DDoS attack? Suppose you are running a website which can handle a load of 1000 requests per minute. What happens if the traffic to the website will increase from 1000 to 1000, 10,000 requests per minute? Answer is simple. Your application will eventually stop working. This is the exact scenario which is termed as a DDoS attack. An attacker will send a huge amount of requests to your website, much larger than your website can handle. This will exhaust your resources and eventually your website will stop responding to the normal user or the user who actually wants to use your website. So now you know the DDoS attack. Let's see how the DDoS attacks are targeted. DDoS attacks are mainly targeted in layer 3 and 4 and 7. Layer 3 and 4 attacks are known as infrastructure layer attack and layer 7 attacks are known as application layer attack. Layer 3, 4, and 7, these layers are from the OCI model. I hope that you are aware of the OCI model layer for the data transfer, but if not, you can Google it out if you want to learn more on it. So, the most common attack is for the infrastructure layer attack only. And there are two different attacks which are categorized in the infrastructure layer attack. Those are UDP reflection and sync floods. So, what is UDP reflection? In UDP reflection, an attacker sends an UDP packet to an intermediate server. Now, this server is tricked into sending its UDP response packet to your website IP address. And before it sends out this packet to your website, the targeted website, it will amplify the request. For example, if the attacker sends out one UDP packet to the intermediate server, it will amplify the request, and from instead of one packet, it will deliver 10,000 packets to the target server. And the attacker will also going to spoof the source IP address. It will give the source IP address, maybe of the target IP address as well, making the destination and the source IP address same. This is because by that the intermediate server will not return back the request back to the attacker, and he can anonymize the request. So this is the UDP reflection. Now, what is the sync floods? So sync floods attacker exploits the TCP three-way handshake. When a client and server wants to establish a TCP three-way handshake, the client initiates the request by sending a synchronized message to the server. Now, on the server, on receiving the synchronized message, will return back with the synchronized acknowledgement to the client. And finally, when the client receives the message from server, it will send out its acknowledgement message to the server and the connection got established. In this scenario, the attacker will start the connection or initiate the connection by sending the synchronized message to the server. Server will also respond with the synchronized acknowledgement message. But in the third step, the attacker will never send the acknowledgement message back to the server. And this will make the server to remain in open state for this request. Similarly, attacker will send out the multiple requests for a large number of requests to the server, and each request will remain in the open state. And eventually, the server will all the resources on the server will got exhaust and server will stop responding to the new request. So this is the sync flood. Now moving on to the application layer attack. So these are mainly the layer 7 attack, that is the HTTP layer attacks. Attacker will send out the HTTP request, a large number of HTTP requests, which may be appearing just like the real user to the application, but in some way, it's trying to exhaust the resources of your application server, and then eventually your application server will stop working. Just I say, if your application server is able to handle the load of 1000 requests per minute, if you are getting in 10,000, 50,000 requests, per minute, then your application server will slow down, or sometime it may be going to stop responding to the request. Similarly, the another type of attack is for the cache. So many of the applications are using the cache mechanism in order to serve the content to the end user. The attackers will going to modify the request with with a different variation in the query string. Now this variation will make the caching mechanism completely failed out. They have to reach out to the application server in order to serve the request. And each time when the request is being served by the application server and not by the cache, it is actually increasing the load on your server. It put out the additional strain on your application, and then eventually the application will be simply slowed down. So these are some of the attacks, which are being possible and which used, in our day-to-day life as a DDoS attack. Now let's see how we can mitigate these attacks. AWS has provided a good number of services which can be used in order to mitigate these attacks. So we can start with data scheduling, load balancer, CloudFront, WAF, which is the firewall, AWS firewall, Route 53 API gateway. You know. So these are the few services which can be utilized in order to absorb the DDoS attack and minimize its impact. Always make sure that whenever you are deploying your application on the EC2 instance, make sure that those are within the auto scaling group and being headed by the load balancer. This will be going to help you in order to absorb the attack up to an extent. So if the load is increasing out, the auto scaling will be going to increase the infrastructure for you. It will scale out to the resources for you, and then you can absorb this DDoS attack request to a certain extent. So we can use the CloudFront as well to minimize the number of requests coming to the application server. So CloudFront will be going to use the edge locations where the content which has been served regularly or frequently has been get cached at the CloudFront edge location and going to be served from the edge location itself. The request will not be getting reach out to the application servers. In front of the CloudFront, always make sure that you deploy the AWS firewall. That is why AWS firewall is a service which can help you filter the traffic coming to your website. You can block the traffic for certain reasons, specific IP address, or maybe based on certain custom headers which are present in the request, and many others. You can go through the documentation that how we can configure the web in order to filter out the requests or the traffic. It also protects us from the SQL injections and cross-site scripting. CloudFront, whenever you are using CloudFront, always use web. There is another product from AWS, which is Shield, which is automatically enabled for all the users. It actually comes out in the two variation. One is the AWS Shield standard, and one is the advanced. The Shield version is always being enabled for all the users, and it protects us with the DDoS attacks. If uh, if you want further protections, or if you want incident reporting on the DDoS attack, then you can enable the AWS Shield Advanced, but that will be a little costly. It may be around $3,000 per month. Apart from that, you should always be use API gateway whenever you are dealing with the Lambda. So API gateway can be configured to allow the request which has some custom headers in the request. These custom headers can be added by the CloudFront so that we can ensure that the request is coming from the trusted source. And the API gateway can also be integrated with the Route 53. The Route 53 uses the techniques like shuffle sharding and Anycast scripting. So that can help users to access your application even if the DNS service is targeted by the DDoS attack. So sharding will help you out. If one of the services goes down, then it will help you out. The domain service will be going to point out to you to the another your service is using some another services which are being involved in the shard. So these are some of the mitigation techniques which you should use in order to mitigate the risk from the DDoS attack. Now let's see how we can reduce the surface on which the attack surface mainly. This is another way of mitigating our risk. So few of the recommendation that we can say is that you always must ensure that the NACL within your VPC are only allowing the permittable IPs. If you're having a website, so it may be get open up to the complete internet. But if you're having an internal website which is being used by the internal, then just make sure that those IP address are only those IP address which are allowed, which belongs to your internal organization. You can also ensure that only the required ports are get opened up in the security group. For example, uh, ATN 443, those are the two HTTP ports that should be opened up, and as other ports should always be denied. In the security group. Security group can also be configured. The another way good point of securing your application or EC2 instance is to allow the port or the IP address only from the CloudFront. You know, when you are deploying a CloudFront, then these AWS provides us the IP addresses of those CloudFront, and you can actually allow only the request only from those connection from only from those IP addresses. These IP addresses are got changed in the regular intervals. So AWS always notify whenever the IP address of the CloudFront change. So we can design a solution where we can trigger a Lambda whenever we got some notification from AWS that the IP address of the CloudFront has changed. And then accordingly, we can configure our security group to use the new IP addresses from the CloudFront. So this will completely reduce the surface of the attack because your machines are never being exposed to the outside of the world. Whenever you are implementing a Lambda, just make sure that those are always behind an API gateway. Lambda should not be directly being accessible. The another and last point is that you should prefer regional API endpoints instead of edge optimized endpoints. So these are few of the steps or recommendations which you can follow up in your configuration over the AWS so that you can minimize the surface on which the attack can happen. So this is all for this time. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you have learned something new in these last 10 minutes. We'll come up with a next video soon. Till then, bye and take care.